Hey, welcome back to the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, your clarity cultivator and founder of Be Free Project. I help women who are ready to flourish, feel fulfilled, and be free to show up for themselves. I am extremely passionate about community, sisterhood, and personal growth. So if that's your jam, you are in the right place. And now let's get into the show. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. I am super duper excited because today I am interviewing Miss Denise Brown. And y'all already know I've talked about her several times on the podcast. And I wanted to have her on here because she is literally the epitome of someone that I see that is living their best life. And so I wanted to have a very candid conversation on how she's been able to really pursue her life dreams and live the best life that she desires for herself. So, Miss Denise, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Siobhan. Thank you for having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My pleasure. I am so excited to talk to you. Number one, because we always have such good conversation. Number two, I
Yes.
think you have a very powerful story that's very inspiring that I know the Girl Be Free listeners will appreciate and be able to take something away from it. And I do want to just kind of share like how we met. You came to the Be Free life class several years ago.
Yes.
I was doing a vision board party, and I believe that's when we met for the first time. And you are one of my like shining students, if you will, because literally, like you have taken the notes, you have done the work, and I feel like the work that you've done has got you in a place right now where you literally are glowing, like, and everybody that comes into your presence, like they can feel your energy. And so
hmm hmm
thank you again for like sharing your energy with me today. So we're going to kick it off with, how is your heart today? Like, how are you feeling?
Um, and I just want to just take a quick second to say I am eternally grateful for you and the Be Free Project. When I say you have really literally saved my life and changed my life, I those are just not words. I mean, that really comes from the bottom of my heart. It truly, truly does. And my heart feels good. I have just gotten to a place in my life where I try to live in gratitude and appreciation every day. I look at every single day as a precious, precious gift from God. So I want to live my life to the fullest, and that's my heart is good. I know the world is going through something traumatic right now, but I'm at peace. I'm in a good place.
Now, have you always been in this such like in such a positive space where you exude like gratitude and appreciation for life?
No, no, I
Yeah.
haven't. No, it took work,
Hmm, hmm.
and it took just really going through some things. Really, um, I would say, just truly focusing in on what life meant for me, a quality of life, and that was not always the case for me. So it took doing the work, actually.
And we're
hmm
going to get into that. So, what would you say inspired you to begin to create the life you want and to choose to live a life that is fulfilling to you?
I would say hearing the words quality of life.
Hmm.
My mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and the doctors, the only thing that they said was that we want to make sure that we give her a quality of life. And those words resonated with me. And when she got her diagnosis, I tell you, I think she only lasted about 30 days
Wow.
from her diagnosis. And so my husband and I, we just talked about quality of life, because that's all we kept hearing. And we decided that we wanted to take those words and utilize those words in our marriage, and also for us individual, as we go through our individual lives in our marriage. We wanted to do everything that was possible to give ourselves a quality of life. So just hearing those words, that was something that began me to thinking about how can I make that happen.
Now, define that for me because I know everyone's quality of life will look
hmm
different. And when
hmm
I look at your life on social media or when I see you in person, yeah, you're living a quality of life. So I guess my
hmm
first question is like, what does that look like for you? And then how did you determine like, this is it for me, you know?
hmm Quality of life for me means the standard of health, being in good health, doing the action steps that I need to do regarding that, comfort and happiness, peace of mind is very important, and just the quality of things that I value in life.
Yes.
Making sure that I do those things, to put those things, prioritize those things in my life, and kind of stacking them up as far as my loves, the things that I love in life. I make
Mhm.
those things my priority. And truly making sure that I put those things in front of me every day. So that's what I mean when I say quality of life. Just living the things that I love and enjoy in life, and letting that take first place in my life.
Mhm. And that's good because I don't think oftentimes people really think through like, well, what does a quality of life look like for
Hmm.
me? And it's really something that we all should explore because how you view your quality of life and how I view it will look completely different, and that's totally fine. But
Right.
really tapping into like, people say I want to be successful, I want to make all this money. Okay, that's
Hmm.
great. But like if you really want to feel good from the inside out and really exude that type of energy,
Right.
that it has to be a certain quality that you're looking for so that you can have that. So I love that you define that for yourself, and not only for yourself, but for your husband as well.
Yes, 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 because in my marriage, I want a marriage that is full of quality, happiness, joy, peace, love,
Yes.
all of those
Yes, all
things.
the things. I
A
love it.
good quality marriage,
Mhm.
life is too short to just,
Yep.
just go from day to day and just nothing, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So we're both intentional about our quality of life with each other.
I love
That's
that.
one of our top loves.
Yes. Ooh. So tell me, like, what was happening in your life when you knew you had to make a change for the better?
I would say work.
Mhm.
I was
Okay. You
I
like real. Yep. Real talk.
when I retired, I was, oh my gosh, I was tired, I was frustrated, I was stressed. I had health issues going on with my knees. I needed knee replacements. I had some depression going on.
Mm,
And I think that was when I knew that, life just could not go on like this. So
right.
it's like, I'm retired now. It's like, okay, now what?
Mhm. Mhm.
you know? Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I remember, and I shared this story on the podcast before, how when we were and Tara, she was on the podcast a few episodes ago, and we had attended her self-care retreat. And I
Hmm.
remember when we were sitting at the pool, just you and I, and we were having a conversation, and I asked you, because you're a part of the Be Free Inner Circle, you come to basically all the events, you buy all the products, and not only do you buy the products, like the journal and the affirmation cards, but every time
Hmm.
you come to an event, you buy one for someone else, which blows my mind. And I'm like, like that is just so sweet. Like you are such a giver. And as we were sitting at the pool and we were having this conversation, I said, you know what? I asked you something around the effect of like, what makes you so connected to my work and all that jazz? And you said, I am now living my best life in my 60s than ever before. And we had a very long conversation that day. But I know
Hmm.
you said prior to being connected with my work, you were working at a company
Yes.
for a
Hmm.
long period of time that caused you stress, that your husband forced you into retirement.
Yes. My husband, bless his soul, he didn't even, give me the opportunity retired. He called my boss and said, she's
Wow.
done. She's
Yeah.
done. He says, either you're going to walk out of there or they are going to carry you out of there. And I'd rather you walk out of there.
Mm-hmm. So how did you feel when he made that call on your behalf?
To me, it showed love.
Yes. Yeah.
To me, it should show love and appreciation and gratitude, and that he values me enough to
Mm-hmm.
say, you know what? The money does not, I don't care about that. I want you whole. I want you
Yes.
to be whole, to be healthy. Enough of this.
Yeah.
And so, no, I viewed it as total love.
Mhm. It sounds like love to me. Like,
Yes, yes.
yes, I can only imagine. And I remember going to work and not happy, and my husband ain't called nobody's boss. Nobody. Like, you gotta do what you gotta do. But I love that he loved you so much. Like, this is a shift that we're gonna make in our household, and
Yes.
because I want you here with me, you're
Hmm.
no longer working. And as a result of that, what I see is that, okay, I'm no longer working at this particular company, but I'm going to work on myself. Right.
Yes,
And so,
yes.
what would you say has been the first personal growth resource that you use to begin that transition of working in corporate America to now doing the inner work on yourself?
Well, what I started doing was the first thing I did was I got my knees done. I got knee replacements.
Mhm.
So I took care of my health in that regard. I saw you had tagged someone, one of my friends on Facebook. And so I'm like, Be Free Project, let me check that out. And so I started following you, and then you had an event. So I went to your vision board party event, met you online, came to your event, and then I started writing out goals for myself.
Yes.
That's
Yep.
something that I had never done. I started doing actionable steps because you always taught us to write out your goals, make actionable steps, and do the work.
Mhm.
So I started doing the work. I also started going to women's conferences, women's meetups, anything that I thought would help me in my personal growth. I attended every event that I possibly could. So those are the types of things that I started to do. And then after a while, it kind of, you get into a flow,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, and
Yeah.
that's what I started. And that kind of helped keep me focused on
Now
my
did
personal growth.
now because you were in corporate and then you transitioned to being full-time retired,
Yes.
did you have friends that were on the same journey as you? And if not, like, did you feel lonely at all? Like, because you were doing a lot of work to change.
At that time, my work was just so tremendous. So that's all I did was just
Mhm.
work. Even on the days when I worked at home, I would kiss my husband off in the morning, pack his lunch and send him off to work. And then I would get online and I would start working. And then when he comes home 12 hours later, he's like, okay,
Mhm.
I've been gone for 12 hours. You're still at it. It's time to get off. And I'm
Mhm.
still working. So I've always had that busy workload, stressful
Mhm.
workload. So, that was all I did was just work,
Yeah.
an occasional dinner out, maybe
Mhm.
concert or something like that, but nothing nearly compared to the things that I do now.
Which we're going to talk about because you are literally doing all the beautiful things. And I know for me, when I first started my personal growth journey, I was lonely because nobody
Mhm.
else was on the same stuff that I was on. And so I would just be at my computer typing away. And that is when I started creating the in-person events, because I'm like, there has to be people out here in the world that care about purpose, that care
Yes.
about like dreams and vision and doing the work and showing up for themselves. And so I'm so glad that I cultivated that outside of just being behind the computer and coaching, that I now have this amazing community of women who too are doing the work. But I
Hmm.
wonder sometimes, like, for people who don't have those spaces, like, how do you find community in your own backyard so that you don't feel like, oh, I'm on this personal growth journey and I'm doing it all alone, you know?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
so true.
So that's
And
what I
thank
was
God for
wondering.
technology.
Hmm.
Thank God for technology now that you can go online and see, different events that's happening in your area, um, maybe talking to a friend, sharing, different things that people are doing, that helps out as well.
Hmm. So tell us, how do you show up for yourself and do the work? And what does the work look like specifically for you based on where you're at today?
I try to show up for myself by being mindful. I try to practice mindfulness by meditating, journaling. I have one day a week that I go to my favorite coffee shop and I will journal, I will read, I will write. It's like my me time.
Hmm.
That's another way that I show up for myself. Um, I take I practice self care. And I have to say a big shout out to Tara Pringle
Yes,
Jefferson
yes.
because oh my gosh, she just really is such an inspiration when it comes to self care. So I try to
Hmm.
do those things that are important to me
Hmm.
because that was not always the case.
Hmm.
And then another thing that I do is I periodically check in on myself. I
Yes.
will ask myself, Denise, how are you? Denise,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think you're feeling a little stressed today, or I think you are, you need to get out and get some fresh air. You
Hmm.
need to stop and pause and breathe, things like
Yes.
that. So I do those check ins with myself. And if at all possible, I try to stay away from negative, toxic people, personalities. I try to
Hmm.
be in such a positive space till it's hard to just be in the same space with someone negative and toxic. I can't.
Me
I
either.
just can't.
Me either. Me either. And it will drain you.
It drains your energy, and I
Yes.
cannot. Oh my gosh, I just can't.
I am right along with you. We are on the same wavelength for sure.
And I try to be self-aware as well. I try
Yes.
to be self-aware, mindful, and also be present in the
Hmm.
moment. If I
Hmm.
am having a cup of coffee, that's what I'm doing. I am having a cup of coffee. I am enjoying that coffee. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I try to be present in the moment as well. So those are the ways that I try to show up for myself.
I love that. And the reason that I asked that question, because people, I talk about this all the time, like, do the work, do the work. You already know, do the work, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then people want to know, well, what is the work? Well, the work will look different for every single person. And
Exactly.
everything that you shared is free.
Exactly, exactly. You have to do the work.
Hmm.
I can say I want to do something all day long, but if I don't
Amen.
put forth the effort,
Hmm.
yeah, you have to do the work.
Yeah, and I would say for me, the first step as it relates to the work for me was going to therapy.
Hmm.
Literally, like, changed my life. And then now it's like making sure that I'm connected with the right people. That
Yes,
self-awareness is so important, and I don't think people value that enough.
exactly. That's
Ah,
so important. I can't emphasize that enough. Being self aware. Some
yep.
people don't even realize that they're in a bad space.
They don't, because they're so busy going through the motions that they don't even know that their
Yeah.
life is dysfunctional. They can't even they don't even understand how they are having the negative thoughts going on in their head day in and day out.
Hmm.
They don't understand how negative people is taking more from them.
Yes.
It's so many
Yes.
things. And so I hope as the listeners are listening to this conversation that you're mindful of how you're showing up in the world, and you figure out one thing that Miss Denise shared that you can apply to your life, whether it's the meditation, being mindful, practicing self-care,
Yes.
going for walks, being present with drinking your coffee. Now, I'm gonna have to pay attention to that. Because when I'm drinking my coffee, I'm on my phone, I'm doing other things, but I love that, like, when you're drinking your coffee, you are drinking your coffee.
I am drinking my coffee. Yes, yes.
I
When
love
I am
that.
walking in the park with my husband, I am walking in the park with my husband. I'm not thinking about what, like 10 days from now or what I'm cooking for dinner or whatever. He has my attention,
Mm.
those types of things. So being aware, being present.
Oh, you speaking to my soul, Mr. Denise. You speak, because I can learn something. I can totally learn something. And I feel like we all can. So I'm loving
Yes.
this
Mhm.
conversation. So share with me, what's your biggest fear and how do you overcome your fears?
Um, my biggest fear, and I don't know, maybe it's because of age, is dementia.
Mm.
My father had dementia and his mother had dementia, and it frightens me because I would hate to lose my memory with all the beautiful memories that I have. And I would hate, I have such an amazing marriage with my husband. I always talk about my husband. I love him. And
And
I
tell
would
us,
hate,
how long have you been married?
we've been married for 44 years.
Yes.
And I honestly just love him.
Yes.
He lights up my life. He really does. He respects me. He every day his eyes show love. I don't have to ask him, does he love me, because his eyes show it every single day. And I would hate to be in a space where I wouldn't recognize him, or I wouldn't, know who he is, or forget all the precious memories that we're intentional about having. So that kind of scares me. But what I try to do is I fall back on my faith. That's a daily prayer of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, please help me to keep a strong mind, and
Mm-hmm.
my husband as well, as especially as we age. And then I also try to be socially active. I read, I exercise, those types of things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the work that I do to try to combat those fears when that kind of creeps up in my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of things I want to add. That's one of many things that I admire about you is how you love your husband. And
Yes.
anyone that has been in your presence,
Ah!
whether in the inner circle or at an event, you light up when you talk about him. There's like a sparkle in your eye. And it's beautiful because you hear so many negative things about marriage
Right. That's
and
right.
all of that. So to not even see it, to
Mm-hmm.
feel how
Mm-hmm.
much you love your husband
Mm-hmm.
and it's an inspiration to so many. And that is so beautiful to be married for 44 years.
Yes, 44 years,
And
Lord
you said
willing,
y'all still
many
chase
more.
each other around the house.
Yes, we had the best time. I'm telling you, we
I can
we
tell.
really do.
Yeah.
And even now, something that I did when I was a young bride, I would always wave him off at the door. I still do that to this day. Whenever he goes to work or even to the store, I'm in the window and I'm waving him goodbye.
I love it, Miss Denise. I love it. And then another thing, I think when it comes to like aging, what I
Hmm.
realized, I just turned 40 a couple of days
Hmm.
ago. And what
Yes.
I realized is that I think the way that you stay young is by having a positive mindset
Yes.
and being active and
Yes.
surrounding yourself by positive energy. You know how you can look at someone and you can say, "Ooh, they had a hard life."
Right. Right.
And
Right.
then
You
you have
can.
other
Yes.
people like you and I where we exude positivity. And
Hmm.
that's why I feel like we're able to glow in such a way because
Hmm.
of the work that we're doing to show
Yes.
up and the people that we keep around us and just having the right mindset and doing the work.
Hmm.
That is what helps you age slowly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so true. I
Yeah.
totally agree. Yes.
Yeah, that just hit me the other day. I'm like, I guess it's something with turning 40. Now I'm like having all these revelations. I'm like, oh, this is why and how people age slowly because they are surrounded by positivity. Like, I don't watch the news. I
Hmm.
don't entertain gossip.
Hmm.
No, I don't have time. Like, I'm
Same
so
here.
busy doing this work. I feel like that's why I look young, you
Hmm.
know? Yeah.
Oh, oh,
And you
definitely.
too. You too. Yes. Yes. So tell us, and this is not a question that I prepared you for, but
Okay.
how do you want to be remembered? What do you want people to say about you when you're no longer in the room or when you're not in the room?
Um, I would hope that they would remember how I made them feel. And when I think about that, I think about Maya Angelou
Hmm.
when she talks about when she said, "I've learned that people will forget what you said,
Yes.
people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And
Hmm.
so I would pray that the people would think that I made them, maybe encourage them. I help something in some type of way, something positive to them. So that's what I would, that I would pray that people would remember me by. That I was a giver of encouragement, financial blessing, all of that.
And you are that. That is exactly how I would remember you. Like if I was in one room and you're in another, and I just left the room, I would remember Miss Denise as a giver. There's just this light around you that you just exude positive energy. Like all of that, I will remember you and your husband. Like I absolutely, and the energy that you give off is so contagious.
Oh,
It's very
that's my
contagious.
prayer. My biggest thing that I think about sometimes is that when the good Lord calls me home, I want him to say, "This is Denise. I'm so proud of her, the way that she lived, and come on up here and into heaven."
Yes, and you're gonna be line dancing away. I know
Yes, I'm
it.
gonna lead the pack.
Yes, I know you are. I can already see it. I can already see it. Now, what is the most important thing that you learned about yourself over the last year?
Something that I learned about myself is that I can actually say no and let that be a complete sentence. I wasn't always one to say no. There were situations that have come up, I would say this year and maybe a little bit towards the end of last year, where um, I would always say yes to everything, but I found out that it is okay to say no. I can't take on everybody's responsibilities and situations, and that's what I was kind of known for. And that's something that I learned, that no, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes to me, and not feel guilty or not feel ashamed, and not put myself into spaces that I really don't want to be in.
Mhm. And people will take advantage of that, especially when you're a nice person like you are.
Yes,
People, and
yes,
I did a podcast episode about this as it relates to people dumping on you,
yes.
and sometimes people, unless you set those hard, healthy boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
people will milk you till you dry, and then you
Yes.
wonder why your life is not flourishing, or you're not feeling fulfilled, because they've taken everything that you've had. They've literally taken all your energy.
Yes.
You know.
And I've always been a people pleaser. So
Mm.
I was always saying yes. Even at work, when I was working, well, just everybody just give the work to Denise. She'll get it done. She'll figure it out, but I would never say no.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then the day before it's time for vacation, I'm in tears because I have all this workload and nobody wants to take it.
Yeah, see, they will milk you till you dry. That's why your
Yes.
husband was like, you got to go. She is leaving.
Enough.
Yes, enough is enough. So tell me, what are you most proud of?
Um, when I think about what I'm most proud of, I think about my journey. I am most proud of staying the course because it was not an easy road for me. When I think about growing up in abusive, domestic violent type of family background, and being married early, with financial hardships, and where I'm at now, I stayed the course. I'm staying the course. Um, some roads were smooth. Some roads had the sunshine and the smooth pavement. Some roads were the deep valleys, the rocks and the sand, and where it seems like you're sinking sometimes. I've had the roads where it's cloudy and windy and rainy and stormy, and going through those, those type of situations. But I'm proud of the journey that I'm on. I mean, right now I'm living, I think, my best life. I'm in my 60s. I'm modeling. I am traveling the world with my husband. I am truly enjoying life. I take the time to be mindful of things that surround me. I see the beauty that surround me. I try to live in appreciation and gratitude. So I'm proud of staying the course, staying on my journey, and looking forward to continuing on.
I wish y'all can see my face, because I'm just like smiling. I am just smiling in awe as I listen to you. And yes, we've spoken and talked many times, but it's different, like this time around, like looking at you face to face and like hearing it, and not only
Hmm.
hearing it but feeling it in my spirit. And it may
Hmm.
be this energy wave that I'm on right now,
Hmm.
but it's your words are literally blessing my soul right now.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, because it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
Living life is just not easy. And I tell you, um, that's one reason why I try to live in gratitude and
Yeah.
appreciation, because I know, had it not been for God just carrying me so far, to this point in my life, it's just, it's Him,
Mm-hmm.
and I am so appreciative of things.
Yeah. And one of the things that stands out with what you just shared is staying the course.
Yes.
Because oftentimes when life gets hard,
Hmm.
people quit and they give up.
Yes. Yes.
But there's beauty in staying the course, to go through all of the things that you've been through, learn the lessons,
Hmm.
and then get to the other side where you're living this beautiful life. Like, I was just having a conversation with a friend the other day, like, this works.
Hmm.
Doing the work works. The
Yes.
personal growth journey works. The reason that it probably don't work for other people is because they quit and they give up and they miss the moment. But there's so many beautiful lessons. I mean, there are so many times last year that I'm like, I'm done. This is enough.
Hmm.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Had I quit, I would not be in the beautiful space I'm in today. Had I
That's right.
quit when I first started the company, had I quit when my mother walked away, all of the things that I've been through, had I
Hmm.
quit, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Exactly. Exactly. That
Yeah.
is so true. And see, I needed you.
Y'all should see
So
my face.
I'm glad you didn't quit, because not only me, but women all over the world, and I'm speaking that into existence, all over the world need Siobhan's voice.
You got to speak life into me.
I am. I am.
And that's not even just for me, but I say, and you've heard me say this many times, like, we all have something to bring to the table. We
Yes.
all have a calling. There's a purpose on our life. And whether people say it or not, somebody is watching. Like, somebody's watching you.
Yes.
Someone is listening to this podcast and will be inspired in some kind of way. And we all have something that we get to give other people and serve other people. So it's not just you and I because we're in this positive space or whatever, but
Mm-hmm.
every single person. And I think when you realize like you've been placed on earth to serve,
Yes.
and then when you don't do that work that you're supposed to do to grow, you hold up a lot of people that are watching you, even
Right.
your kids.
Mm-hmm. That's so true.
And I really just want people to get that. Like I don't know if it really sinks in, or maybe there's one person or out there that's listening that it will resonate, but we all
Mm-hmm.
got work to do. And I
Yes,
love
we do.
how even in your 60s, your thing is I'm so glad I stayed the course.
Yes, I am so thankful. I'm so glad that even with all the obstacles,
Mm-hmm.
I stayed the course, and I'm
Yeah.
still looking forward to, new roads that I'll have to
Mm-hmm.
travel through.
Yes, I love that.
Hmm.
So what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
Um, what makes me inspired?
Mm-hmm.
I would say that just like what you just said, I believe in my soul and my spirit that there are young women that are watching me.
Amen.
And I need to make sure that I am doing the things that I need to do to help them, to encourage
Mm-hmm.
them. So that kind of helps inspire me to continue on living my best life.
I love that. So this is a question that I cannot stop thinking about. I read
Mhm.
this question in a book a few weeks ago, and it's just on my heart that it's now a part of what we're going to be talking about here on the podcast, because I'm all about community. I'm all about sisterhood and really building genuine friendships. And so my question is, did you thoughtfully choose your friends, or did you fall into relationship with them?
I think I fell into relationship with them, and so now I'm actually in a space where I am thoughtfully choosing
Mm-hmm.
my friendships. Yeah, but I would have to say that is something that I am in the process of doing, is thoughtfully choosing people that want to see me win,
Yes, yes.
that are rooting for me, that are,
Mm-hmm.
will help encourage me, and that I can do the same for them. So yeah, I'm in that space now where I am actively choosing, who do I want to be in my inner circle and my friendship.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Hmm.
have you had to let friends go based on the shift that's happening or has happened in your life?
Yes, I have.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, that's not an easy thing to do because
Oh,
I'm
no.
one to want to hold on
Mm-hmm.
and hold on. And well, maybe they'll change, or well, maybe I need to change or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a space now where I have literally, deleted people out of my
Mm-hmm.
phone.
Mm-hmm.
I've disconnected into different groups that I may have been in, things of that nature, and just actively trying to um, cultivate friends that will. Um, I would say that would just really like-minded, that we are
Mm-hmm.
like-minded,
Mm-hmm.
like-minded in a lot of ways.
And what do
Yeah.
you value most about friendships?
I value friendships, people that I can just talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it might be, I just might need to listen,
Yeah.
maybe not solve the problem for them, but maybe help them navigate through different
Mm-hmm.
things. Trust is very important, when it comes to friendship. Being a relationship, we may not have to talk every single day, but where it's not just one person always reaching
Mm-hmm.
out. We're
Yep.
both reaching out,
Yes.
checking in on each other to make sure that we're doing well.
I love that. A friend and I, we are building this very beautiful friendship. And one thing that we said that we were doing is that we're consciously building this friendship with one another.
Hmm.
And when she said it, I was like, yes, because who actually consciously choose their friends? More
Right.
often, you fall into relationship based on proximity
Hmm.
or shared interests, and then sometimes you outgrow these relationships,
Right.
but you stay in them.
Exactly.
But we
Exactly.
getting too old for that.
That's right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And so now every single relationship that I have that I'm building, I'm doing it with thoughtfulness.
Yes.
And when I tell you it feels so good, I've never done this in my life. And now every person that I am connected to and I call friend, it's a beautiful relationship.
Hmm. Hmm.
And another thing that I did, and I think I shared this in the Be Free Inner Circle, but I'm going to talk about it in a podcast soon too, is that I took time to write out what I needed in a friend. And it's a long list, very
Hmm.
long.
Hmm.
And I sent that list to my friends.
Hmm.
because this is how I need you to show up for me, and this is how I'm going to show up for you. And I don't think people do that, to my knowledge. And
I
so we
love
just
that.
go through life
Right.
thinking that our friends are going to be something that they never were, and then when they let you down, you don't understand why. So I think
Hmm.
moving forward, and I'm going to be talking a lot about friendship and community because that's my thing, like we need to be defining what we need in a friend, you know?
Exactly. That's huge. I
Yes.
love that. I love that that you took the time to write that out.
Hmm.
That's beautiful.
And I send this long text, and they're like, "What is this? What are you doing?" Don't worry, read it. Let me know how you feel. We're gonna keep it pushing. All right, tell me, how important is community and sisterhood to you?
um, I love sisterhood because and community because it helps encourage you, it helps you along your journey when you have sisterhood and other people that are pulling for you, that are helping you along your journey. I like to support women. I like to support businesses. I like to encourage women because I love to see women win,
Yes.
whatever that means for them. And it all looks different for everyone. But I just think it's a beautiful thing when you get women supporting other women. It's just a beautiful thing. It's sisterhood,
Hmm.
where we are pulling for each other, we're encouraging each other, we're motivated to continue on. Sisterhood and community is very important for me.
And that's what I love about the Be Free Inner Circle, how it has become this beautiful thing where the women are so supportive and they're so
Hmm.
uplifting, and I don't always have to show up and encourage somebody. Like someone can share something very vulnerable, and then you guys get in there like typing away, and I'm like, yes, y'all
Yes.
better support her. And it warms my heart because that is community. That is
Yes.
how you cultivate sisterhood, where you don't just need the person that's over it to give you the gems, but we come
Right.
together as a collective and support one another. And it just warms my heart, like when we're sharing
Hmm.
our dreams and our wins, our challenges, everyone in there is supporting. And if they're not, at least there are people that are watching that know, like, oh, one day I can share what's going on in my life and know that I'm going to get this same kind of support. So I absolutely love that.
Yes, I love the inner circle because the women are very supportive, and we're all over the place, we're
Mm-hmm.
all across the country.
Yes.
But we get in there and we support each other, and it's beautiful. I love being a part of the inner circle. I really, truly do. And the
Yeah,
women in there are awesome,
they
all of them.
are.
They're motivated. They inspire me.
Mm-hmm.
They root me on with
Yep.
different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's wonderful. I love it.
Yeah. And everyone is on a different personal growth journey. Like no
Yes.
one's life is, some are entrepreneurs, some work 9 to 5, some are moms, some are not. Like it's just so
Hmm.
many different avenues that I actually, I really, really love.
Yes.
So what's one thing that you would tell your 20-year-old self?
Oh, my 20-year-old self. Oh boy.
How
Um,
was little Denise?
the first thing I would do is I would give her a hug.
Mhm.
I would truly, and when I say a hug, I mean the kind that, if you don't know Denise Summary, but the kind of hugs that she gives.
Amen. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I would give her a hug. I would tell her that she's beautiful. Um, and I would tell her that everything is going to be okay because the 20-year-old Denise didn't think that, everything would be okay because she did everything.
Mm.
She cooked, she cleaned, she was married, she ironed, and those were the days, Siobhan, when you ironed everything,
Oh,
everything,
I said, oh.
sheets, tiles, undergarments. You ironed dishcloths, everything
Oh
got
my gosh.
ironed.
Oh
can
my
you
gosh.
can you imagine that time? Taking the time to do all that now.
No, I don't. I barely iron now. I'm like, if I need to iron, I will. So no, I cannot imagine.
I would tell her to slow down, to breathe.
Mm.
You're going to be okay. And then also, I would also tell her to find ways to to make her happy because my 20-year-old self, I looked for everybody else to make me
Mhm.
happy. It was my husband's job, it was my mother's job, it was everybody else's job but mine,
Mhm.
to figure out um, and to carve out that time to see what makes me happy and to act on it, you know. So those are the types of things that I would tell my 20-year-old self. But it would definitely start out with a big hug, because
Hmm.
she definitely needed it.
And I agree. Denise Sumbry gives the best hugs
Oh my
ever.
gosh, yes, she does.
Yes, I shared on a recent episode. We did a two-part series on my transformation from Rise to Reiki, and that's one of the things when I walked into her office,
Mm-hmm.
I hugged her and wept on her shoulder.
Mm,
And I remember like her embrace was, I could feel the light and the energy from her hug, from her
yes.
embrace. So if y'all ever get a chance to hug Denise, hug her, because she
Yes.
she gives them she gives them good. What advice would you give to someone just starting out with changing their life?
um let's see. I would tell them to make small changes, to get crystal clear on what it is that they want to change,
Mhm.
because sometimes we don't even know what that is. So maybe spending some time, maybe writing things out that they want to accomplish, maybe doing a vision board, you know, letting words and pictures speak to them, you know, because I think words are powerful. Some pictures you can look at and they can, you know, really resonate with you as well. And then set some goals for yourself. But I would say take it slow, and don't, give yourself grace. You know,
Mhm.
don't think that everything has to happen that day.
Yeah,
You know, and then I think with doing those types of things, I think then you can start to find your flow. You
mhm.
know, but if you're consistent, be consistent. You know, and do those small changes, and then after a while, it'll become a lifestyle, I think.
I love that. Small steps for sure.
Hmm.
Because I think sometimes people pack everything on because they want
Yes,
to change so much. But
yes,
when you
overnight.
overnight, and
Hmm.
that's unrealistic. Like we are living a whole entire life.
Exactly,
Nothing
exactly.
has to be rushed, like nothing. And so I love that, like making a small step,
Hmm.
winning at that, and then moving to the next thing and giving
Exactly.
yourself grace. That's excellent
Yes.
advice.
Yes,
I love
definitely
that.
giving yourself grace. Don't beat up on yourself, because
Mm-mm.
sometimes we will give everybody grace but ourselves,
Come on.
you
Yep.
know? So,
Yep.
yeah, give yourself grace.
I love that. What book would you highly recommend the Girl Be Free listeners to read?
For me, I love The Five Love Languages
I
by
knew
Gary
you would.
Chapman.
Of course. Yes, of course, yes.
I love that book because, and I think it's so important, because I think you need to know your spouse or even your friends what
Mhm.
their love languages are. I think that's so important. There are words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, physical touch. So just knowing what, you know, that person, what their love languages is. And then he always talks about the love tank, making sure that love tank is full, you know,
Mhm.
operating out of a full tank. That would be something that I would recommend for people to read. I know for
I-
myself, quality time is mine. I mean,
mhm.
if you call me and just say, "Hey, Denise, I'm just thinking about you. Just wanted to spend a couple minutes just talking to you and seeing how you're doing," that means the world to me.
Ah,
I think receiving gifts is maybe the last one on my
mhm,
list.
mhm,
But just spending some quality time and maybe acts of service is good for me. I know with my husband, his is the physical touch and
mhm,
quality time. So I
mhm.
know I know the things that, you know, speaks to his heart, you know. So that would be a book that I would recommend for everybody to read, The
And
Five
that's an
Love Languages.
And that's an excellent book. And I love how you said not only within your marriage, but in other relationships. Because that
Yes.
just had my wheel spinning. Because I'm like, oh, let me reach out to my friends and ask them what's their love language. They can be like, Siobhan, stop it. You're doing too much. You're doing too much. But it's good to know. Like, and so, yeah, my husband, his love language is definitely physical touch, I
Hmm.
feel like. And then mine is words of affirmation.
Hmm.
And I love that. Like when someone sends me a kind message, like it warms my heart. Like,
Yes.
thank you. And it's
Yes.
always at the right time when I need it. I'm like, oh, girl, thank you. I'm so glad you're appreciating the podcast and what have you. So that's definitely mine. And like you, like gifts is at the bottom. I mean, gifts are nice, but
Yes,
as far
exactly.
as how to love me, definitely words of affirmation. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely link to that book in the show notes. I would
Hmm.
love for you to share a fun fact about yourself.
Um, well, I think it's fun for me. Maybe not for my husband, but I am so silly. in my
Oh,
household.
yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I tease and joke and pick with my husband all day long.
Mhm.
One example is that he works around the clock. So he will come home from working all night long, 12 hours. When he hits that door, I have the music blaring and I want to dance.
Ah,
And he's like, wait a minute. Now, where did I just come from? I'm like,
yeah.
I don't care that you just worked 12 hours. I want to dance. And I'll have the
Yes.
music blaring. So I like to do fun, silly stuff like that.
Mm.
At night, I get real silly before I go to bed. And he's like, he catches it. The poor guy. But a
I
fun
love it.
fact about me is that I love being silly. I am so
Mm.
silly at home.
And I learned that personally because we roomed together when we went to Tara's
Oh,
self-care retreat.
right.
It was like pillow fight. And I'm like, what? But it was so fun. And I had not had a pillow fight in God knows when. But I love that. And that is how you live a quality of life because you're silly,
Yes.
you're happy, and doing the things that you enjoy. So that was so fun. Like you brought into my trip. That was so much fun for sure. I love that. So share with us, what does being free mean to you?
um, that's huge. And
Mhm.
it's so important to be free. Um, but I think to do what you want when you want to do it, living on your terms. Being free means to discover, to explore, to become, and that looks different from everyone. But to do those things without constraints, and to live your life on your terms, to just be free. Um, I mean, literally just open up your heart space to just being free to have that freedom to do whatever you want to do without all these restrictions and rules and things like that. You know what I mean?
I
Just
love it.
discover
Yes.
the things that you want. Explore, be free to explore things.
Mm.
So yeah.
That's a word. You can preach that, Miss Denise. That is so good. And so one other thing I do want to share, because as I was saying earlier, like you are the epitome of someone living their best life and you're doing all the things. Like you line dance. And
Yes.
when
Hmm.
I'm going to list off what I know, I'm sure that I'm missing things. And I also want you to share your biggest, wildest dream that you shared in the Be Free Inner Circle the other day, because this will be an inspiration. Because every time I hear you say it, I can see it and visualize it, but I want the audience and the Girl Be Free podcast listeners to hear it.
Okay.
But what I know, I'm like, I know you line dance. I know you travel the world, sometimes by yourself, with your husband. I
Hmm.
know that you model, you do
Yes.
voice acting, and you can tell us the rest.
But those are some of the things that I love to do. And as far as with my biggest dream, I know that we talk about in the inner circle, I would love to model at New York Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, and be one of the most sought out models for some of the top designers in the world. And I would love to model clothes where I am showing my knees. I have two long scars, because I have two knee replacements. And I just want women to know that you can have these long scars, you can live life and have life happen to you, and you can still walk the runway and be beautiful, and just from the inward to come outward and just be
Yes.
beautiful. So that's something that I would love to do.
And every time you share that, I light up inside, but you are like glowing, like, ah. And I can see that for you. Like, and that's totally going to happen.
Hmm. I pray that it does. I pray that it
No.
does.
And I hope someone listening, especially because I know that you're in your 60s and
Hmm.
age comes up a lot. Oh, I think that, but you are doing all the things. Like you're putting in the work, but you're also living this quality of life and having fun doing it. Like
Yes,
that is like the biggest takeaway that I would love for someone to hear is that age has nothing to do with it. It's how you decide to show up.
exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
are there any final words that you would like to leave with the listeners?
Well, I would just want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for this conversation. And I do pray that something that I said could be an encouragement or motivation or inspiration to your listeners. And again, I just have to say, Siobhan, thank you. Oh my gosh, I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you so much. I don't even think my words can really they just really can't describe exactly how I feel. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything that you do. God bless you.
Oh, come on, come on. Thank you. Don't get me crying because you know I get emotional. But thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being such a light that I get to see all the time. But then also letting your light shine on this podcast is such a beautiful gift to know you. You know, and yes, you're going to inspire listeners, but you've already inspired me today, and so I'm just grateful
Wonderful.
that you're here. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And until next time, girl, be free.
Hello, my name is Elmir and I am from sunny South Florida. I joined the Be Free Inner Circle because I was looking for a space where women were not only goal oriented but also focused on taking care of themselves inside and out and creating the kind of life that they want for themselves. It's more than just setting goals and being held accountable. It really does feel like a real sisterhood. There's a lot of resources that are being shared among the members of the group. One of the things that I love so far is the monthly goal setting, showing up for yourself, where everybody brings their goals for the month and shares with the group and also gets insight, resources, and additional things to uh, possibly consider when they're setting their goals for the month. That in itself is such an amazing resource and such great accountability, which I'm loving so far. If you're looking for a space where women are not only handling their goals and getting their to-do list done, but also offering kind of like a warm virtual hug from afar, then the Be Free Inner Circle is definitely for you.